How do you make $100,000 a year as a personal trainer? This is possible now, but when I started 25 years ago, there was really no model to do it. Today, I'm going to give you three, and I'm going to get going right now. If you have questions, you'd love to chat about this stuff, ask questions, you can join gymownersunited.com. That will take you to our free public Facebook group, and we chat about this stuff all the time, every day. So here we go. Now, I started out as a personal trainer. I took my first clients back in 1998. That means I've been doing this for 25 years. And back then, there was no good example of anybody who was doing it well or making a living. Definitely nobody retiring, and really nobody who was even sticking with it for longer than about 5 years. Back then, personal trainer was just something that you did to pay your college bills, or something that you did while you were waiting to be discovered as an actor. That's not the case anymore. Now it's a meaningful profession, and there's great ways that you can actually make a living doing it. Today, I'm going to share three of these ways with you. How do we know? Well, we have data set from over 16,500 gym owners. We collect this, we publish this data set for free every year. We work with thousands of gym owners worldwide, including people like me who started as a personal trainer and then opened a gym because we thought that's how I'm going to make more money. So one thing I want to point out to you is that the way that you earn $100,000 as a personal trainer is not necessarily to open your own gym. That's one option of the three that I'm going to present to you, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it in a moment, but you don't have to go that route. The key is really to focus on 150 clients or less, because you can maintain personal relationships with all of those. So here we go. We're going to go through this in three parts. First part is the three paths to earning $100,000 per year as a personal trainer. Then I'm going to talk about the things that stop personal trainers from earning that much money, and there's really 6 of them. And then I'm going to tell you exactly how to overcome each of those 6 so that you can actually get there. Because the reality is, if I can keep you in the fitness business for longer, you're going to change more lives through health and fitness and leverage health in our world. So here's the 3 scenarios. The first scenario is switching from personal training to semi-private. That means going from one-on-one training to 2-on-1 training, partner training, or 3-on-1, or even 4-on-1 small group. Usually these are done in groups of 3 to 4. And the way that you set this up is that you group people together. So I'm going to tell you how to do that in a moment. But first, what you want to have are pre-scheduled slots. So for example, this group of 3 trains every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. That group of 4 trains Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 4 p.m., 2 p.m., and noon, or whatever. You want these slots scheduled in advance instead of leaving it for the people to make individual appointments, because they can't always coordinate their schedules. The other reason that you want to have pre-scheduled slots is so that if somebody misses, the whole group doesn't cancel. One huge mistake that I made when I was doing this was grouping people together, and then you're charging them and they're paying individually and stuff, and then they're coming in at Tuesday at noon, and Sally can't make it. And so she's going to have to either pay anyway, or everybody has to cancel. So she talks to the other 2 and says, hey, I'm not making it. I don't really feel like paying for this session if I can't make it. Can we all reschedule? And so they contact you. Hey, Chris, can we all reschedule? And maybe you say yes, maybe you say no. Then they try and get together and reschedule it. And of course, that takes days. They miss their training appointment. They don't make as much progress that week, etc. The reason that you want this pre-planned schedule is so that you have the understanding in advance that if they miss, it still comes out of their number of sessions per month. Okay. Which leads me to the next point. You want to have monthly billing. What you don't want to do is sell packages of 20 sessions at a time, or even like punch cards, because what'll happen is people will use those at different rates. And so you'll finish 12 sessions with 2 of the people in the group, and another person will have 1 or 2 left over, and somebody else will have only used 8 sessions. And so now how do you bring them in? What you want to do is have monthly billing. So you want to say, this is how much it is for 12 semi-private training sessions per month. Okay. And let's say that you charge $150 for that. It should be dramatically higher. That's just an example. Let's say that you charge $300 a month for that. You swipe their card and away you go. It should actually be much higher than that. Which leads me to the pricing discussion. Your semi-private training should be within 10% of your one-on-one training rate. While some people don't even discount it at all, and that is totally an option because you're still providing value, some people find that if they give clients a 10% option, it helps them stick with semi-private training. And semi-private training then drives way more revenue, up to 3 or 4 times as much per hour for the personal trainer. It creates less work, and it saves the clients a little bit of money too. Now, you don't have to discount it to still make it valuable. You're probably undercharging for personal training. Anyway, I generally don't advocate for discounts, but historically, the people who've been successful with this have given about a 10% discount and no more. So monthly billing, they get charged at the beginning of the month, no matter what. I see a question coming up here in chat. And so, yeah, what happens if there's a holiday during their regularly scheduled session, like on a Monday, it's Labor Day or whatever, Christmas Day? In those cases, what you do is you move that session forward a week. You do not change the billing cycle. You never charge them less, but you offer an extra training session. No, you don't have to open on the holiday. You can still do it, but you have to get that out there in advance. So when clients are signing their agreement, you say, okay, now if your training session falls on a holiday, we will make up an optional training session later that month. You can choose to attend that extra training session or you cannot. I just want to make sure that I'm delivering the opportunity for you to attend 12 sessions a month, which is the package that you're signing up for. Okay. The last piece is really finding perfect matches. So it's really key here that the partnerships that you create are good ones. Sometimes people will come in, they'll want to train with their spouse and do 2-on-1. Wonderful. Most of the time, though, you're partnering people up who don't know each other before they started with you. And so you're selling semi-private training, you're calling it semi-private training, so they have that expectation that they're going to be exercising with other people. If you're introducing this and you're starting out with a lot of one-on-one clients, here is exactly what you say. Hey, Bill, we've been doing amazing work for the last 6 months, and you've been getting amazing progress. To really keep the hammer down and maximize the results that you're getting, there's only one thing that I can think of that will help, and that is to introduce a training partner. It's going to work because this person that I have in mind for you is a perfect match. You're around the same training level. You each have individual strengths and weaknesses. You're around the same skill level. And I think that maybe you can encourage and push each other a little bit more. Would you like to try a session with him? And then you invite the other person in. You do the session. You contact each person privately. You say, hey, what do you think? I thought that went amazing. You pushed yourself like 10% harder. Do you want to keep doing this? Okay, do you want to stay with this partnership? And then after a while, you let them go 2-on-1, and then you look at a third person. Hey guys, you know what? I didn't think that I was going to do this, but I have this other client, and I really think she could be like the spark that pushes you guys to the next level. Can I invite her in and you tell me what you think? Great. Over time, you build trust and people learn to trust you more with these things. Now, if you're starting and you've got like a group training gym, or you've got a brand new gym, or you're not working one-on-one with clients, all you have to do is basically pick out 3 or 4 clients while you're reviewing their goals or measuring their progress and say, I'm putting together this kind of special group of some of my favorite clients who are all at the same level. I want to give you focused attention in a very small group, just enough people to push each other, but I want to be able to give you a lot more one-on-one focus in coaching. What do you think? Do you want to try it? You don't even have to talk about the price usually at that point, but the key is to group the perfect people together. And they don't have to be perfect for you, but they do have to be perfect for each other. Okay. Try not to put any duds in that group. The duds should be one-on-one. All right. There's pros and cons to semi-private training. The first is that you don't need a lot of staff members to operate this. You can do most of it yourself. It's still an owner-operator manual, and you can still earn more money. I remember when I was a personal trainer, I would have like sometimes 12 or 13 clients booked in one day, some half-hour, some hour sessions. And the only way that I could make any more money was by booking more clients. And I was just grinding myself to death. Instead, what I should have done is started partnering some of these people up. Maybe not all of them, but some of them to start, which would have cut a couple of hours off my day and allowed me to earn more money in the time that I had. Of course, there's also cons to this strategy. It is the most fragile model. I mean, if you want to take a day off, it's going to cost you double because there won't be any money coming in while you're spending money on your little roller coaster holiday or whatever. The second is that if you get sick or, heaven forbid, injured, you are losing big money because you're going to have to be canceling or like rebooking people. And heaven forbid you get sick for a whole week. How do you rebook all those people? Probably what's going to happen is you're going to have to give them a little bit of a refund that month and then keep continuing to bill them in future months. Busy periods, what happens is like when you get completely booked, you don't have time to do the marketing to get more clients. And so you turn off all of your marketing. And then, after a couple months, you're down a few clients or you've got a few more spots to fill and you've had no marketing. And so it takes a few months to ramp that up. You don't have enough time to do a lot of other work in this scenario. And you'll probably still be working about 50 plus hours per week. All right, let's talk the second strategy. This is to sell a high ticket service. And some people are selling their training services for $1,500 to $3,000 per month. What they're actually doing is they're selling the outcome, not the service. So instead of saying you can buy 12 personal training sessions from me, they're saying I'm going to sell you an 8-week weight loss plan. And so this plan is going to include a lot more than just the one-on-one delivery. The value to the client is that they get every single thing that they need to hit that goal. The value to you, the owner, is that you're going to use highly leverageable things other than your time to deliver on that promise. So these leverageable things are what we call the value stack. And these could be supplements. They could be accountability texts. They could be checklists. They could be like a sleep, eat, move, manage tracking app. They could be measurements, everything that the client needs. The one thing that they probably don't need more of to get to that goal is your time. All of their results happen in the 23 hours a day that they're not with you. But during that time, what they need is to be told what to eat, when to eat it, what to shop for. All of these things add value, but they're very leverageable because after you build them once, you don't have to spend time on them anymore. I'll give you a couple of examples. The first one is supplements. Yes, you have to pay for the supplements, but adding supplements to the client's 8-week challenge increases the value beyond the cost of the supplements to you, and it doesn't increase the time that you have to spend. Another great one is automated texting. So you could text your client 2, 3 times a day. How was the workout? How was the meal? Send me a picture of your lunch. How are you feeling? Did you sleep well? Are you stressed? Do you need a meditation or something like that? You can send them videos every second day on stretching or meditation or whatever you want to, things that add value and will get them to their goals. You can assign homework. Once you build that plan out the first time, it's done and you can sell it over and over and over again. So the key to high ticket is not convincing somebody to pay the price. The key to high ticket is creating leverageable resources that don't cost you time to fulfill. We've got some good questions in chat here. How do people justify the price? Really, what people are buying is like everything that they need to get to their goal. They're not buying a number of sessions. They're not paying you for time spent. So what do they need? Well, they probably need to take a walk every day. They probably need to cut their calories. They probably need accountability. They don't have to come to the gym to get accountability. You can do that over text. You could send a personal, voice memo. Hey, Jimmy, I hope you're doing well today. Yesterday's workout was super tough. You're going to be really tempted to hammer the carbs today. And I think you said it was somebody's birthday. So here's my advice. Okay. Like show up to the party full. That is what gives great value. That is what's very leverageable because it takes you 2 to 3 minutes, but it really helps the client too. Okay. Next, how do you sell this in a CrossFit gym? This can be challenging. We do have models for doing this in TwoBrain, and there are other experts out there that will help you sell high ticket. But this is really the way that the industry is going right now, is not just to move entirely to high ticket, but to have a high ticket, get to your goals offer available to your clients. It's not going to be for every client, especially if you have a CrossFit gym, but a small percentage of your clients are going to want all of these things to get to their goals faster. All right, there are pros and cons to high ticket. The pros are that you can actually have some staff flexibility here. So because the training sessions that you're selling are part of the overall package. It's not just buying training sessions with Chris anymore, right? We will include 12 one-on-one training sessions per month or 12 semi-private or whatever. You can even put your group training program in here, but that's harder to sell as a high ticket or high value offering. You can sub other trainers in. So if you're selling like 12 one-on-one training sessions, you say, we want to pick the training sessions that will match your schedule the best. And so we pick, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1. You said those are times that you can always make. And so that means that Mondays and Fridays, your trainer will be Sally, and on Wednesdays, your trainer will be Jessica. Okay. That's it. You can get some staff flexibility. You can also get a better schedule for the owner. The owner can be working 2 to 3 sessions per day, but they will have to spend some other time on sales, pre-screening, and marketing for the program. The other real value here that very few people talk about is that higher value clients have better retention, because when things outside in the world change, like there's a recession, these are the people who are the least affected. These are the people who are willing to pay for a result. And so that's why it's actually easier to retain these people, and you can spend less time in money marketing. Here's the cons. 3 to 4 hours of work a day can easily become 5 or 6 hours unless you're very focused. A great example, let's say that it's 9 o'clock at night and your client is, tempted because they have like this tray full of brownies that their wife just made or something. They're going to text you at 9 o'clock at night. And if you're not disciplined with your response and you're not getting out in front of people with guides and stuff, you will always be checking your phone. You'll always be getting messages from people. Okay. You have to have focus. You have to continually audit your process and make it better, or this can bleed into like a 24-hour a day all access job for you. The other con is that you have to be good at a lot of things. You can't just be good at like fixing somebody's barbell position in the snatch. That's not it. You also have to be good at sales. You have to be good at marketing. You have to be amazing at client care and client follow-up. You have to be really good at staying positive and sending positive voice and video and text, even when you're tired or you don't feel like it. So this is really not for everybody. Now, you can learn to be good at sales. You can learn to be good at marketing. You can learn all of the scripts and everything that you need to take care of clients when you're doing high ticket, including admin, or you can hire for all of that stuff. Absolutely. But that skill set has to be present for you to make this program viable. All right, here's the third scenario, and this is the first one that I did, and that is open a studio and hire other trainers. So what you're doing here is you're kind of creating an opportunity to provide more value to your clients. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. So the first scenario is you open the studio, you're the owner, and you bring in other trainers. Now, what you're not doing is subleasing your space, because every person that comes through the door has to get a consistently valuable and excellent brand experience. Okay. The trainers have to deliver up to your standard. The trainers have to dress up to your standard. The entire facility has to be cleaned up to your standard. Everybody needs to be charging the same rates. If you bring in several trainers and they're all kind of running their own business under your roof, you're not going to have any of that. There will be no brand cohesion, except that the client will associate everything that happens with your brand. So if their trainer is only charging $50 an hour, they're doing it very part-time, they're texting their boyfriend the whole time they're doing a session, that is going to be associated with your brand. The lowest common denominator determines the value of your brand. And so if you've gone to the expense and trouble of opening up this 5-star restaurant, and you've put careful thought into the place settings and how the food is prepared and how the waiters are dressed, you don't want to just let a hot dog vendor push their cart through your restaurant 2 to 3 times a day during the busiest times, right? It's more valuable to you to own the studio, define the brand, define the processes, and put everybody under your umbrella than it is to just like have a space where you rent out to other trainers. It might seem like a quick win in the short run, but long-term, it's bad for everybody. Now, here's how you hire them. We teach something that a lot of accountants teach called contribution margin. And it goes like this. Every person in your business should generate at least 2.5 times what they're paid. They either do that by providing a frontline service like the training, or by creating time for you to do things that grow the business, like sales and marketing. So your job as the owner of the studio is to provide safety, security, equipment, insurance, payment gateways, banking portals, booking and billing software, a great client experience, probably like a waiting area, SOPs on delivery to help people, programming, coach development. The coach's job is to show up and deliver the program to the clients. In a lot of cases, the owner of the studio will even provide like the diet and the programming that the trainers have to follow. So the weight of delivery is largely still on the owner. The trainer comes in and delivers on the owner's program, which has been proved to be successful. The trainer also makes 44%. Now I'm talking to you guys as trainers or studio owners. When you're talking to your staff, you talk about dollars. When we talk to each other, we talk about percentages, okay? Since all of your clients and staff believe that you're a millionaire anyway, we don't want to talk about percentages with them. We want to talk about dollars. Now, if you're paying a staff person 44% of the revenue that they bring in for personal training, they're probably earning double the industry average. If you go to Bally's or if you go to Good Life here in Canada, you'll see that trainers are making between $18 and $22 per hour. If you're charging appropriately and you're paying 44%, especially if you're also doing semi-private, then your trainers can be making easily $80 to $120 an hour. And they don't have to figure all this stuff out because you've done it for them, right? You set up the business to be this profitable and help them make a living. The other ways that this can actually work for you, yeah, I'm getting some more questions on 44, and I might have said 4/9 too. Okay, I'll come back to those in 1 second. The other way that you increase revenue by having a studio is by increasing the value stack, right? So you could possibly sell 24/7 access to people to do their homework. They come in on a punch card. That's one of those leverageable expenses where you pay for it once and then like that's it. Another one is that you could sell training plans. We did this for years. If people wanted to buy a training plan, they had to do at least 2 PT sessions with us a week. We would sell them the plan. The plan got printed on our printer and it had our green arrow at the top, and they would take it to a big Globo gym, set it on the treadmill, do their interval training or whatever. Other people would see the plan and say, what is that? And they would talk about Catalyst, right? So if you own a studio, there's some value here. The other value is to increase retail. So if you are using supplements to help your clients get results, having a studio will make supplement sales much, much easier. What you have to do though, is you have to weigh the costs of owning that studio, like rents, electricity, internet, against the value stack that you're adding for your clients. And you have to have a plan for that in place. So if you want to, you can go to twobrainbusiness.com and you'll be able to find like a good business plan for a personal training studio or a gym that you can download and fill all this stuff in advance. Okay, so back to the 4/9 model. What I said was if you're talking amongst ourselves, we can talk about percentages and fractions. If you're talking to your staff, you talk about dollars. So we know that to have a legitimate contribution margin, that the staff should make about 44% of what they're paid. Somebody asked, how do they get a raise? Which is a great question. The way that they get a raise is not to change the ratio. The way that they get a raise is to raise your prices. I think that everybody in your studio should be charging the same rate. Other people disagree, but whatever that is, the way that they make more dollars is to increase how much you're charging for that service. You don't change the ratio. Okay, great question. Thanks for asking. The other way that they can make more money is through a process that we call intrapreneurship, not entrepreneurship, where they have access to all of your clients. And if they want to run a specialty program, they can. So for example, let's say that they want to run a Couch to 5K group for 6 weeks in the spring before all the 5K events start locally. And they offer it to all of your clients. They're leveraging your audience and they're going to make more money for the time that they spent doing their specialty, okay? Another way that they can do it is by moving to semi-private training. And a third way that they can do it is to develop a new specialty like nutrition coaching that you can then package and sell to all of your other clients too, okay? They can make more money by doing other roles in your gym, like maybe you have a role for the cleaner or the admin or the client success manager, and you're paying them hourly for that. But if they just want to make more money as a trainer, they should specialize. Okay, or raise their price, or both. There are a lot of pros to this strategy. This is what I did. This is why the list is going to be longer. First, if you've got a diverse team, you've got less fragility. You can sub trainers in for you. The owner becomes replaceable. At one point, even if you don't want to train at all, you don't have to. You can take vacations. I didn't reach this point early because I didn't know how to do it. And so the day that my daughter was born, I went to the hospital. I visited with my wife and my baby for about 3 hours, and then I went back to work. I never want that to happen to you. And that's why we put on webinars like this. The pros of the studio, better opportunities for retail. Also, retention is better. If you have control over your environment and your brand, it's actually easier to retain clients than if they have to meet you in the park or meet you downtown under the tent or meet you at somebody else's gym. Okay. Part of this too is you have control. I mean, if you've got a client and they're meeting you in the park, you don't know what's in the park, right? Like it might be covered in goose poop if you live in Canada. It might be filthy. It might be full of other people doing a class. Like if you can control your environment, you're probably going to increase your value. Retention is better. This model also tends to attract higher value clients because now they're coming to your gym instead of just meeting you in this random place, right? It establishes value. I talked about coaches growing the pie to earn more money. That's entrepreneurship. It's a win for them. It's a win for you, the owner, and it's a win for the client because they're getting more access to the specialties. You can do specialty programs, and it's actually easier to attract new clients if you have a studio. The cons of this strategy is that a lot of us got into this because we loved coaching. And if you own a studio, you're not going to be able to coach as much as maybe you want to. Now, some people don't want to coach. And I mean, eventually you're going to want to coach less than you probably are now. But if you just love coaching people, you're going to have to do a little bit less. If you own a studio, you have to be a studio owner. You have to do the things that grow the studio. And that means you have to wear your CEO hat and your cleaner hat and your admin hat and your bookkeeper hat and your CSM hat. You have to do all those other roles. And that means less time spent coaching. You're also going to have to manage people. And this is the big hurdle that most of us didn't understand or realize when we opened a gym is we signed up to change people's lives through health and fitness. We did not sign up to manage other people. And we think this is going to be easy, but it's an entire skill set that people go to school for 6 years to learn. And it's frustrating. And sometimes our expectations aren't met. And it's boring writing out standard operating procedures and staff playbooks. And it feels like, doesn't everybody know this, right? So I just need you to understand that managing people is never 10 out of 10 easy. The right people will make it easier. Having SOPs will make it much easier, but you are going to have to manage people if you open up a studio. The other thing is that if you don't take the time to write out your systems, audit your systems, and keep tightening them up, then every little thing is going to always come back to you. Hey, we're out of soap in the bathroom. Or, hey, Chris, this person, they can only come 2 times a week instead of 3. Can they get a discount? Or, hey, Chris, that guy's son is starting his hockey season and he's going to quit. Can you get a refund for the rest of the month? Unless you write this stuff down, every little decision is going to come back to you, probably a dozen of them every single day, and it's going to grind you down. And then finally, you need to run the gym by rules that are replicable by all of your staff, right? If not, then everything becomes a negotiation. Hey, can we start class 10 minutes later? Or, hey, can we add a 9 a.m. class? Or, hey, Chris, this trainer doesn't really want to do one-on-one anymore. Whatever. You got to have rules that everybody on your staff can live by and deliver even when you're not there. Okay. Now, of course, you can do all this stuff up front. With a mentor, you can work through all your SOPs. You can download our templates. You can copy all of it and just implement it. But that is a little bit more than what some of us signed up to do, right? All right. Why you're not making $100,000 a year, there's really 6 common reasons, okay? And most trainers have more than one of these. The first, and I know we're going to rush a little bit here to get through on time, but the first is you're not paying yourself. A lot of trainers, especially when they open up their studio, they will leave way too much money in the business, or they will just tell themselves oh, I'm reinvesting, and they'll buy more equipment or whatever instead of paying themselves. You need to pay yourself first. The reason is that if you don't, you will always just spend the money. There's this great book called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, and there's a great version for trainers and gym owners called Profit First for Micro Gyms by John Briggs, where they talk about like you're always most creative when you feel pressure to generate money. So at the end of the month, if you don't have enough money to pay the landlord, you'll get super creative in generating that money. If you don't have enough money to pay yourself, you won't. You just won't do it. And that book is a great example. But luckily for me, I had this forced upon me when I opened up my personal training studio. If I didn't make $900 per week, my family didn't eat. I mean, $900 a week paid for our groceries and our mortgage, and that was it. We were still losing ground, but I had to write myself checks for $900, way in advance and deposit them in advance. And so what would happen was, on Monday, if a client says, oh, I'll pay next time, I'll see you Wednesday, you think, okay, no big deal. Wednesday comes and they're like, oh man, I forgot my Visa card. Sorry, I'll catch you Friday. And you're starting to get a little bit nervous. And then Friday comes and they're like, can I get you next week? I'm sorry. I mean to pay by check and I don't carry checks around. At that point, if you know that the check is already in the bank to pay you and it's going to bounce, you will say to the client, I'll wait here, go get your checkbook and come back. Or even I will come to your house with you. Or do you have a Visa card that you can put this on and we'll put it on there for now. And if you want to pay by check next time, bring a check and pay in advance. Okay. This is actually an easy problem to fix, but most people don't do it. Another way is like to think about how your corporation is structured to minimize your taxes. So in some countries and states, for example, if you have a single earner in your household, you're going to pay more taxes than if you have two. So you want to learn about income splitting, etc. The second model, or the second reason you're not making 100K per year, is that you need more clients. Now, most people think, yeah, this is the only reason I'm not making this much money. But the reality is that you really need the right type of clients. These are people who can pay a high value and they're going to stick around. If you've got clients who are churning out every 6 weeks or whatever, you just don't have time to be marketing hard enough to replace them. The best clients come from your current clients. That means you have to get really engaged with referrals. Yes, if your clients are getting results, they will sometimes refer your friends. But if you just wait around, you're going to run out of clients. You have to take that referral process from a passive one where you're just kind of waiting and hoping to an active one where you are asking for referrals. The way that you do this is by doing something that's called affinity marketing. And so if you join our group, gymownersunited.com, you can download the free affinity marketing guide, and you're going to set up quarterly review sessions with your clients. So they come in, they get measured, you talk about their progress, and then you say, are you completely satisfied with your progress? And they say, yes, I am. And you say, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. I'd love to use your story to inspire somebody else who's on the fence about joining or starting their fitness journey. So I'm going to pull out a phone here and I'm going to ask you one question. Okay. The question is, what advice would you give to somebody who's just thinking about starting out? Okay, ready, go. And then you hit record, and that becomes valuable social media. The next thing that you do is you offer to help somebody in their life outside the gym. So before the client comes in, you've got this affinity marketing cheat sheet, and you're going to write down 3 people. You're going to write down who they live with, like probably their spouse, who they work with, their coworkers, and who they play with. Like who is their buddy during their hobby, who do they go to the knitting circle with, or the golf course, or skiing, or whatever. Okay. You're going to write down those 3 names. Now, if you don't know those names, use this as a catalyst to go figure that out about your clients. When the client comes in, they say that they're getting good results. They're perfectly satisfied with the results. You say, that's wonderful. As a thank you to you, what I'd love to do is help you get your husband exercising. Let's invite him in to do your next one-on-one session with you. Do you think he would do that? And if they say, yeah, that might work, then what you do is you say, let's call him right now. And what's his phone number? You call him and you say, hey, Bill, I got Mary sitting here with me. It's Chris from Catalyst, by the way. And we want to invite you together to do a one-on-one session with Mary on Friday. Are you up for that? And Mary's probably going, oh, he's going to kill me. Oh, no. But the reality is that Bill is not going to say no to you, where in private, he probably would say no to Mary. And then you can bring him in and you can talk about doing 2-on-1 training. If it's a coworker, you say, okay, Mary, I know that you are an accountant and I know that this is a stressful time of the year for you. And what I'd like to do is help out the other accountants in your firm as a thank you for being such a great client. So what if I came in there on a lunch hour and I gave a brown bag talk about stretches you can do at your desk, or like how to reduce stress, or like 5 exercises that you can do first thing in the morning to prime your brain before work, something like that. How would that help? And if she says yes, then you go in and you do your 30-minute presentation and 5-minute Q&A, and you give out your information, and that's it. And that's great marketing. If it's a buddy, I had this one. I had this guy, let's call him Fred, and every year he and 3 buddies would go skiing, and they loved it. They would take this ski trip every year in December, and it would predictably, what would happen. They would fly out to this resort. The first day, everybody would just go out and try and crush it. The second day, Fred would be ready to go again, and his 3 buddies would be absolutely paralyzed because they're out of shape. So they're going to spend the day in the hot tub, mostly. They might do a couple of runs, but probably not. So Fred's either skiing alone or he's wasting his vacation sitting around with these other guys who are out of shape. And then the third day, okay, we're ready to try it again, but they're not really performing. It's like 4 or 5 days into the trip before everybody's really skiing, which is what Fred is there to do. So what you say is like, Fred, dude, this happens every year. What if we brought those 3 guys in for 6 weeks? What if we started like October 15th and just got them in shape? You would get way more value out of that ski trip every year. What do you think? And of course, you can do the same thing with golfing, any pastime, right? You can do it with people's kids too. Like, hey, I know that you and these other 3 parents are really tight. Your kids have been playing on the same hockey team for 9 years. What if we brought all your kids in and we just did like a 6-week group? We'll make it fun and we'll just like get them ready to play hockey together this year. Same thing. You're really just looking for opportunities to help. And I wrote about this in my book, Help First. The next step is creating a referral culture. So when you start people out, and they're in front of you, they're ready to sign up for your service, you take their money and then you say, okay, I have one thing that I'm going to ask you. 6 weeks from now, if you've been successful and you're perfectly happy, I'm going to ask you for the name of one person who you think would be an amazing fit for our culture. Okay? And that's it. You're just setting up the expectation that if they're perfectly happy, you're going to ask them for the name of one person. 6 weeks down the track, they're already expecting that conversation. And you can say, look, we grow this business slowly and very carefully because we want to protect the culture that we have here. So who in your life would be the perfect fit? And then you call them up while the person's sitting in front of you. The best advice I ever got as a personal trainer was called the 40-hour rule. And this is basically the rule I learned from this guy at this, rundown steroid freak gym where I used to do personal training. And he was always full. And there were probably about 5 personal trainers trying to build a business at that time. And so I asked him, like, Ty, why are you always packed with clients? And he said, it's the 40-hour rule. If I have 40 hours of clients booked this week, I'm good. If I have 32 hours of clients booked this week, I'm going to spend the other 8 trying to get more clients. If I have 10 hours of clients booked, I'm going to spend 30 hours trying to get more clients. I'm going to read, I'm going to send out emails, I'm going to make newsletters, I'm going to ask for referrals, I'm going to cold call people if that's what it takes, but I'm going to spend 30 hours getting more clients. And that guy grew his business way faster than anybody. Next, the next reason you're not making 100K a year is because you're not making enough from the clients that you do have. And this is actually the most common problem that people have. Most trainers have enough clients, but they're not making enough from what they do have. So the easiest thing, or the simplest thing, is just to increase your rates. Everybody blows this way out of proportion. They imagine that people will quit if they charge $5 or $10 more per session. The reality is that you might lose a couple of people, but the people who are paying more will more than make up the difference. And a rate increase falls straight to your bottom line. You don't have to take on any additional expenses. You just make more money. However, you can also make more from your current clients by understanding that, like, you're not completely solving their problem when they're in the gym doing their exercise. They need help with nutrition and sleep and mindset and accountability and, just walking and stretching and all this other stuff, managing their stress. And you can help them with all those things better than anybody else in their life. And you have to charge for it. Okay. So if you can identify the problems that your best clients are having outside the gym, then you've identified an opportunity to grow your revenue by solving those problems. And bonus, I talked earlier about solving leverageable problems where you're not trading time for money. Most of these things that you do outside the gym are those leverageable services. All right. Your service should also extend beyond the walls of the gym. That's what I'm trying to say. The fourth reason that you're not making enough money as a personal trainer is that your retention is bad. If you really want to change somebody's life, you got to keep them for at least 2 years. If not, they're going to fall back into bad habits, right? But if you want to build a business, you have to keep them for the same amount of time or longer, because every client that you keep is one more that you don't have to go out there and get. So, going back to the 40-hour rule, the way that you get 40 client hours a week isn't by recruiting over time. Over time, you get that by keeping the clients that you have. Your marketing, you should need less and less of it over time, not more and more. And so if you're a few years into this and you're still worried about marketing, you probably have a retention problem. Also, like doing referrals, getting their spouse or their buddies to sign up for your gym or do one-on-one training or semi-private will actually increase the retention, because now they've got a built-in support and accountability network right at the gym besides you. You've got this trifecta. All right. What's the most important for keeping clients around? Getting them results. Change your method as much as you need to, add services as much as you need to, charge what you're worth, but do whatever it takes to get them results. The second thing that you can do is plan out the client journey in advance, like really map out step by step. What does the client do on day one? What do I do on day one? What does the client do on day two? What do I do on day two? At least for the first 90 days. Another reason, the fifth reason that you're not making 100K a year is that your expenses are too high. If you're doing personal training, then you have to start with being a client-centric business. That means, what does the client actually need to get these results? A lot of studio owners will buy equipment that they want for their own training, like a reverse hyperextension machine. That's what I did. I had GHDs, I had reverse hypers. None of my clients needed that stuff to get to their goals. None of them wanted it. They rarely used it. I just wanted it. And that's, when you're trying to build a business, you have to cut that stuff back. The other thing is that most people take way too much space, or they take space in the wrong part of town. Your rates should go up with your rent. Your rates should go up with your rent. So if you're renting retail space at $22 a square foot downtown, because that's where the high value clients are, then your rates need to go up to match that. If you're renting industrial space that's $9 a square foot, way, out of town, then your rates have to come down to reflect that, probably. And most people don't do this. What they do is they look at, like, what's the average personal training rate in their town, and then they buy the most expensive location and charge the average rate, and they've got like this really pitiful profit margin. Okay. So you need to have only the space that's required to deliver your service, only the equipment that will actually get your clients to their goals. If you're not sure, look around your facility and say, what is that 10 square feet doing to get my clients closer to their goals? Or how is that 10 square feet driving revenue? You look at every piece of equipment and you say, how is that piece of equipment getting clients toward their goals? Or how is that piece of equipment driving revenue? All right. Your last investment is your staff. As I said earlier, your staff should generate at least 2.5 times what they're paid. This is called contribution margin, either by generating revenue, selling training, or by creating time for you to sell the training for them. The sixth reason is you're trying to do everything. You're spread thin. The client experience is inconsistent. You're training 4 people in a row. By the third client, you're exhausted. You need a meal and maybe a nap. And you're stressed about your own training. You're distracted because you're thinking about that last guy's bill. And, you don't have time to do the social media today. You had a fight with your wife last night. You're not making enough money. You're exhausted. Your own training sucks. You're gaining weight. And so the client gets this inconsistent coach, which gives them an inconsistent experience. Another reason is, like, you're in charge of the marketing, but you only do it when you're desperate. You have to keep your marketing going, which means that you have to be delivering on that consistently, which means you have to have time to do it, which means you probably need help somewhere else. You don't evaluate your coaches. You hire them, maybe you train them and then you just let them go instead of helping them grow and progress in their career by giving them an evaluation. Clients are evaluating you all the time. The evaluation that they're giving you, the feedback that they're giving you is financial. They're talking with their wallets. But if you're not giving your coaches that evaluation too, then they're not benefiting from that feedback and they're not learning anything and they can't grow because there's no audit process. Okay. The gym is a one-person show and you're doing stuff that you could be paying somebody else less to do. So I can't take a 9 a.m. client because that's when I clean the gym. So now you're trading a $100 an hour role for a $15 an hour role. What you should be doing there is hiring the cleaner and then using that hour to train somebody else or to do marketing to get to train somebody else. All right, how to fix those problems. Most trainers are making more than one of the 6 problems that I just outlined, and knowing where to start can be really tough. Our job as mentors is to help you identify the strategies and tactics that you need to do and then do them one at a time. Your job is just to execute. And so we'll say, you're going to do this. That's the first domino. And that will make the second thing easier. And then the third thing easier. And then you're going to do this fourth thing. Instead of, you have 4 things to do. Can you do them by Friday? Where they'll never get done. Okay. That's a mentor's job. If you have questions, you can fill in this form, the free call form, and get on with our team. We can talk about how mentorship can serve you. We can troubleshoot some of your problems and even give you some tips on that call as to how you can start knocking those dominoes over and getting paid more. There's no reason that a good personal trainer can't make $100,000 a year, stay in the business until they want to retire, make enough to pay for their house and put their kids through college. That's a reality now. And we're attracting professionals, we're building professionals, we're mentoring professionals, and these professionals are all having a compounding impact on the health and fitness of their community and the world. I hope that you're one of them. I hope you're successful, and I hope that you can make at least $100,000 in the next 12 months.